A lot of our parents and those who have gone before us are the reason why we are where we are. Because Africa has been built as an extension of our traditional practices, and it upholds values of respect and all of that, and that is wonderful, but sometimes to a fault. No matter how wrong someone is, you have to join the queue slowly while failing intentionally until you allow that person pass on to clear the stage for you. You see that now? In America, here's the land of the brave and free. An individual can come up with an idea, spearhead a move, and be rewarded for it. Unfortunately, that does not happen that easily in Africa. So you come up with an idea, a tech idea, an innovative idea, an idea to improve education, and you have to consult with many elderly minds for approval. And unfortunately, all of them will sieve your idea from the lens of their mediocrity. And they will end up saying, no, you're not going anywhere. And if you try to aspire, they will call it rebellion. You get the point now? So I need to be honest with you that attempting to change Africa is possible, but it's going to be slow. The greatest way to penetrate the African soil is to take advantage of knowledge and technology, because technology breaks that barrier. You see that now? You are able to supply information, and it's cheaper and better. You do not have to go through physical systems of, we're still working our minds against factors like corruption and prejudices and so on and so forth. Millions and billions of dollars come from US and other Western nations to Africa every year that cannot be accounted for, invested in education, invested in healthcare, and some of these monies never even get there. They are being siphoned and taken to other nations, deposited by a few people. So we're dealing with very complex issues. Then, of course, the issues of religion comes in. And just like you said, it doesn't just happen in America, it happens in Africa. If you bring an idea and say you want to impact, say, the Northeast, chances are excellent that the people of the northern extract will not receive from you. They'll say you don't have an idea of our history, get away. Or you are a lady, so a lady wants to spearhead, say, education in the Northeast. They are not going to listen to you, because the current Islamic context has very little value for women. You see that their women sometimes are paid to go to school, because based on certain extremist Islamic teachings, they teach that a woman needs the permission of her husband to make paradise. It's an indoctrination that has been given to them. The women believe they are just there for the men. And so they don't aspire to become, they don't aspire to grow. And even when you bring brilliant ideas, they just smile at you with no readiness to adopt your ideas whatsoever. But here's my recommendation. Build networks among yourselves. This is the first key. Build networks among yourselves. Number two, define the greatest areas of help and interest that is needed in Africa. And I'll give you three of them immediately. Number one, education. Education is key. Number two, healthcare. Healthcare is very expensive, unfortunately, but healthcare is a very major part. If you have any passion for healthcare here, let me tell you, you're on point. You're on point, because you see, healthcare issues is an equalizer. The rich need healthcare, the poor need healthcare, Muslims need healthcare. You want to look for areas that bring together people beyond religious walls and so on and so forth. Healthcare is one of those areas. If you build a hospital, Muslims are grateful, Christians are grateful. You see that now? There are other things like promoting gender, what do we call it now?
Gender
equality and all those kinds of things. But the challenge there, I'm afraid to use the word equality. You notice I've been trying to look for an alternative. Equity, I think that's a wise expression, because Africa is very complicated. You need to find programs that can be received by the people, regardless of whatever religion. If you come from the angle of religion, it'll be wonderful, but you will only be able to serve a group of people at the expense of others. So if you really want to impart Africa, you can come through the guise of religion, but then religion and education still works out well in Africa. Religion and provision of all kinds of charity activities. It works out well. For instance, in Zaria is at the northern part of Nigeria. We do a lot with the inmates. We do a lot with the women and children. We give food stuff. We've rehabilitated the prisons. We've done so many things. And when it's time for these welfare packages, people come regardless. The Muslims, the men allow their wives to come. Perhaps to preach, to listen to a sermon, no, but welfare, please. And so we use that to just love on them. And then we organize peace concerts. And even though it's religious, they are usually open outdoor programs and so on and so forth. And then maybe you will want to define the generation you want to impact. There is a generation that is almost too late as far as bringing the kind of significant transformation I want to submit to you. It's never too late for knowledge and transformation, but with respect to the African context, I think there is a generation that is practically too late. No matter how innovative you are, they look at you and smile and remind you of yesteryears. They're just ready to die. There's nothing you can do. I don't see you bringing transformation to a granny of 65, 75 in most parts of the interiors of Africa. They would listen to you and you say, look, I've come up with an innovative idea, we can do this. They laugh at you and say, okay, kneel down, let me pray for you and bless you, but not to receive your ideas. You see that now. So you will have to define a generation that supports your vision. There is a generation that can receive your vision. There is a demography that can appreciate what you carry, and you will need to identify them. Next is to find people who are already doing what you seek to do within the African continent, who have integrity and a proven track record, and partner with them. You are better off partnering with people who already have credibility than just coming into the African space with no track record. It's going to take you a long time for people to accept you. So it's wiser, and this is a culture that has been practiced even by UNESCO, UNICEF, World Health Organization. They usually look for those who have credibility, religious leaders, political leaders, human rights activists, and all of that. People who already have a track record, then they come into some kind of partnership with them to drive their visions. And then overall, remember my final thoughts during the first lecture. For those of you who were there, I spoke